The city of Turin, the city of Gdansk, the city of Budapest, and the city of Cluj-Napoca within the CO-City project. Today we will go in deep in the plan that all the city of Turin and all the other city represented here will describe, and we will have a conversation on the different project we are working on. I hope Eddie Adam from the URBAC Secretariat is connected. Eddie, are you here? I don't.
Speaking?
Yeah, I can hear you, Eddie.
Great to see you. Hiya.
Hi, welcome to Turin. Although such a pity you're not here.
Not quite the same. Yeah. My coffee was less good this morning than it would have been if I'd been with you guys. But you know, this is modern life.
Yeah. Well, I gave you the floor, Eddie, so you can you can begin. Thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let me just share my slides. I think I just will they come up automatically? Yeah, they will. Okay, great. So thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm going to be quite brief this morning. I just got a glimpse of the room, so I can see. I can't see you all at the moment, but I can see the space you're in. And as Gianni said, Plan A was to have joined you today. I'm really sorry I can't be there, but I know dell'evento also isn't there, so we're still in this weird kind of hybrid moment where the world has not gone back to normal completely yet. Anyway, it's great that you're all together, and great that you'll have a chance to do a deep dive into the UIA practice in Torino, because I know we all missed that initial first experience. So you know, we're really keen to hear how you get on today. So looking forward to the feedback. The brief that I've been asked to present this morning is very give a sort of overview. So I'm going to talk about three things, again, very concisely. First of all, just the kind of big picture stuff to give a sense of what's happening at the kind of EU policy level. Secondly, say a bit about URBAC 4 in terms of what's coming down the tracks for the program. If you were in Paris with us a couple of weeks ago, you will have heard these headlines, but otherwise you might not have done. And then thirdly, talk a bit about these UTMs and maybe sort of share some key questions we have, things we want to learn from this experience, which you're going through at the moment. So I thought it'd be good to finish on those, because that's an ongoing conversation as we go into the final months of the project. So let me just jump to the next slide. I hope you can see this. I hope it's big enough. You know, we can share these later on if you're interested. So this is in a nutshell, at a glance, being able to see this new urban policy ecosystem is the word that I've used. Essentially, as you'll probably know, there were lots of comments about the fragmentation of the EU policy landscape in terms of urban policy. So lots of initiatives here and there, and not always easy for cities to navigate their way through and to see where the connections are. So the aspiration from the Commission in the new programme that's just about to start is to have a more coherent structure, to have something which pulls together the different strands. And if you see on the screen, we've got two kind of main blocks, and this is the format of this new European Urban Initiative, which will go live in September. On the left-hand side, we have Strand A, which is the continuation of urban innovative actions. I know that many of the cities you know, who are involved in URBAC have already been participating in UIA. I know Cluj-Napoca, for example, and Torino, who are both part of this meeting, have led projects through it. And that will continue with a bit more money, but basically with a similar principle. Important for you to know that in the new incarnation, it will have a transfer element built in. So there will be a transfer component from the beginning of the UIA project in the next generation. So that's a significant change. And then Strand B looks at capacity building, which is things like the urban development network, the work of URBACT, the different kind of peer learning activities which are underway to support cities to learn from one another. So that's all trying to be brought in-house under the same sort of platform. And then the second part of Strand B is about the knowledge sharing, capitalization. So the network of URBACT contact points will continue. Commission will have its own separate set of urban contact points. Hopefully they will connect effectively. So more effective knowledge sharing, more effective channels of communication. And then you'll see kind of outside the bubble on the edges on the far right-hand side, URBACT 4, which I'll say a bit more about shortly, continues, of course, still under the auspices of the French administration. And then the urban agenda of the EU also continues with 2 new networks focused on equalities and food kicking off in the autumn. So in a nutshell, that's how it looks. Let me say a bit about URBACT 4 very briefly. As you might know, we have 3 kinds of networks. They will continue to run: action planning networks, the transfer networks, and this innovation transfer mechanism that we are involved in today, and that we've been involved in for the last 18 months or so. In terms of specifics, we have 3 overarching themes for the new programming period. These are mega trends, if you like. Green and digital are pretty well established. And as you'll know, URBACT has been doing some really great pioneering work led by my colleague Sally Nishaw around gender equal cities. So those 3 pillars will kind of run right across the program and will be kind of, I guess, sort of common denominators across the networks that we'll be supporting in the next sort of 3 to 5 years. And then maybe the final thing on URBACT 4 is how do we get involved? Some of the timelines. There's a call for the first new set of networks in early October, so in the autumn. If you're involved as an expert, the new expert pool opens from September 22. And also we are interested in having cities involved, but especially in networks like this, where the NGO sector plays a really crucial part. We're also really, really actively encouraging those wider stakeholders to continue to play an active role in these networks. And then maybe some thoughts about the URBACT transfer mechanism. Important to say that, as you will remember, and we met together in Paris in March, which was fantastic. So we have these 5 pilot networks running. These are genuinely test beds for us. They are opportunities for us to ask some key questions. So let me just turn off my email so they don't ping while I'm talking. Yeah. So it's a chance for us to really look, to look and see whether this hybridized version of the URBACT transfer approach will work for UIA. We're not sure whether that was actually going to stand up or not. So it's a genuine experiment. It follows in the back of other examples of URBACT UI cooperation, like on the capitalization work on housing and just transitions. Simone, who's joining you shortly, is also involved in that work with me. As I said earlier, URBACT is committed to running another set of these networks on a longer scale. We know these have been too short, so probably for 30 months. The number of partners is an open question, but they'll be targeted at completed calls from calls 2 to 6 of UIA. So that existing UIA projects which are terminating will have a chance to run one of these transfer networks in future. And remember that the new UIA projects will have a chance to transfer from the very beginning. So this is a chance for us to test out some of the things we tried in our earlier transfer networks. And here are some of the key questions we have. So one of them is, if we're looking at UIA projects, there are 86 of them altogether. What is the essential good project structure? These are big, macro, strategic, large-scale investments with around 5 million euros, as you will know. So can we see a particular typology? Is there a particular kind of UI project which is easier or better adapted to transferring than others? Genuine question. Second genuine question is, what are we actually transferring? These are, as you know, URBAC doesn't bring you lots of funding. So, there's an issue about how we finance these adapted projects. And a key question about, are we transferring the whole thing? If you look at your Torino CO4CITIES project, I know that each city has picked out and identified specific aspects of the Turin experience to try and adapt and scale at a local level. So there's a genuine question here about, is the function of the UIA project simply to inspire and to give a range of ideas and potential ways to take things forward, or is it more mechanical, or is it more sort of the spirit of the project rather than the mechanics of it? So there's an open question there, and as you know, we've been serving you throughout this experience, and thanks for your responses. So we still have an open question on that. We also have a question about tools and methods work best, and sadly Levent is not here this morning, but I know that we've got Anna Maria in Cluj and also Piotr in Gdansk. So we have a team of experts looking at the most appropriate methodologies. So again, we have an open question. We're really keen to hear from you. What has worked best? We know you missed that in-person deep dive at the beginning. We're really interested to hear, does it still work halfway through or towards the end? It's not the same, obviously, but it's better than not having that physical experience at all. So we have some key questions around the tools and methods. The next one is about the stakeholders. As you know, the UIA project has work packages, local partners in charge of those work packages. In some of these networks, we've seen a complete change in personnel where there's been no continuity. In others, the key partners have stayed on board. So we've had that consistency. So in Torino, it's been a pretty good picture in terms of continuity. But again, how we mobilize stakeholders and your city experiences in that are really useful for us to hear. And then the final one, and this is the €1 million question, of course, is implementation. How do we finance the outputs? Lots of cities looking at mainstream EU funds. However, that requires it to be a harmonious relationship at the city and national level, which we know is not always the case. So, what are the alternative ways of financing the work you want to implement on the ground? So again, we're looking closely at this. We talked to you in Paris about this, as you remember. And we know that as we get to the final point of wrapping up the investment plans and also the springboard plans, this question of finance is going to be central. So we certainly don't have the answers. We are in super listening mode, and we're really keen to continue the dialogue with all of you. We will certainly be at your final meeting, Cluj-Napoca. So we'll have a chance to connect with you there face to face. But in the meantime, thanks so much for your inputs on this work so far. That's contributing to our ongoing evaluation process. And thanks for the invitation this morning. I'll stop there. Happy to take. I don't know whether you can ask questions in the chat or not, or whether you can ask questions face to face, or whether that's fine. So I'll hand back over to you, Janny. And thanks again for the invitation. And really nice to be part of this conversation. And looking forward to seeing you in Cluj-Napoca in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. We're looking forward to see you in October, hopefully in Cluj-Napoca. And thank you for your presentation, for the landscape of project opportunity in the next few years, and on the challenges of the current project we are doing in the framework of the transfer mechanism, which in my opinion is far more a mutual sharing of, I mean, there's no, in my opinion, there's no mechanical transfer or mechanical application of a given tool. It's rather a conversation around attitudes and processes that resonate one with the other one in different cities. But there's I guess, I think, a fruitful opportunity to share different experience. Now we will move a bit more locally in the Italian context. I hope Simone is able to connect and to give us a presentation. I know Simone is abroad working on one of our projects in Katowice. I don't remember. No, where are you, Simone? I don't remember.
Actually, I'm in Rome, just back from Katowice yesterday night.
Okay. So I give the floor to you anyway, Simone.
Thank you, Gianni. Let me apologize for not being with you all there in Turin, but unfortunately, the flight connection from Katowice, where I was there for the World Urban Forum, and Turin were not that great. So I was back in Rome. Hi everybody, I'm Simone D'Antonio. I'm the person in charge of the activities of the National Urban Point for the Italian Association of Cities and Municipalities in Italy, which took the office of National Point in 2012. We are following the activities of all the Italian cities involved in Urbact networks. As you may know, the Italian representation in the Urbact program is the strongest one. We have cities from all the different urban levels taking part in the networks funded by the program. In Urbact 3, we had more than 50 cities involved. And what is really important is that we are also fostering a series of activities that goes well beyond the Urbact network activities, try to create impact at national level, trying also to connect the action carried out in the framework of the networks with other policies. In the case of Turin, this is something that we did for the CO4CITIES project, for the Urban Innovative Actions project that you are now replicating through the Urbact YA transfer mechanism, trying to make the regulatory innovation produced by Turin part of national legislation, and also fostering the dialogue with other Italian cities. So the dimension of the dialogue with other local authorities in the same country is fundamental, and this is something that I really suggest to the colleagues of the other cities involved in the network to carry on, because it's important to scale up the innovation that you are transferring and implementing, starting from the experience of Turin. As Eddie said, the UIA transfer mechanism is a new initiative of the Urbact program, and in Urbact 4 will be the main point of conjunction with the new European Urban Initiative. So it means that the knowledge that you are producing with your network, the practices that you are developing at local level will be fundamental for testing the success of this initiative, and also for orientating the future of the UIA transfer mechanism within the Urbact program. I think that the success of this initiative is not just related to how much are you going to implement the particular practice of Turin with this use of creative tools for urban regeneration, which maybe you are seeing there in person, is having effects not only in the place where you are right now in Via Comiana, which is the biggest achievement of the project, but also in many other small places of the cities, unused or underused spaces that were regenerated thanks to the action of the project. But more in general, I think that is also the type of connection that you are creating with national policies. In all the European countries right now, there are national recovery plans ongoing. In Italy, the national recovery plan is funding huge investment on infrastructure. But what is needed right now is to find new services, to find how to make this infrastructure livable and really useful for citizens. So the tools that you are using with your project are very much useful for giving sense to what is happening right now, also at national level, and also the connection with other urban innovative actions project and with the European urban initiative. So in general, at the European level, the connection with the cohesion policy tools, the connection with the European agenda, the urban agenda for the EU. So acting on different dimensions is fundamental to create an impact. I'm very happy that you are there in Turin, and that you are going also to listen from Fabrizio Barbiero the experience that the city is carrying out with the project tonight, which is in some ways continuing the action of CO4CITIES with a strong focus on night policies, on the management of public spaces at nighttime. So it means that all these projects are strongly interconnected. The action that you are doing in this network can create other effects, can also be positive for creating other connections with other topics, or also with other OIA projects. For instance, the OIA project of Cluj-Napoca, Cluj Future of Work, which is focusing on the future of work for creative industries. So the connection between dimensions that appear very much different one from each other, but it's fundamental to be highlighted in view of this integrated urban development concept that Urbact fosters. So thank you again for inviting me. I really hope to see you in person, hopefully in Cluj-Napoca in October, and good work.
Thank you, Simone. There's an applause for you. I don't know if you listen to. Thank you, Simone. You give me the possibility to introduce my own intervention, which is on the CO4CITIES project in the framework of EUIA that we we manage in the city of Turin between 2017 and 2020 with a partnership that includes Simone himself as a representative of the National Association of Italian Municipalities, and Simone was in charge of all the communication activity of the CO4CITIES project. I'd just like to tell you something, starting from the place in which we are. That, as you can experience right now, have some also some shortcomings related to the strange hybrid place in which we are, which is in a way subject to what happens outside in terms of weather, in terms of light, and for instance, it's difficult to see a TV screen or a video projection during the day. By the way, you will receive all the slides that Eddie Adams sent us that you won't be able to see here. This very place is maybe, I mean, in terms of money, the most important result of the CO4CITIES project. This was a piece of a former industrial building. The other piece were the other one that surround this area. In this neighborhood, which is in the western part of the city, there were factories. Notably, this was a factory of a car industry, which is not the more known Fiat, but it was Lancia, a small but important car industry in Turin. This building until 2020 was in very bad condition of it was abandoned, unused, and in bad condition also in terms of structural, the structural situation. With the funding of CO4CITIES, we renovate the whole building structure, and this floor under us there's another floor which at the moment is simply structurally okay, but it is not possible to use it for public activity as this one. We think at this place, the occasion of CO4CITIES give us the idea to try to renovate this place, but we also think about how to do it with far less money. Oh yeah, of course, but yeah, afterwards, yes, far less money that would have been necessary to completely renovate it with all the windows and so on and so forth. So we decided that although we have less money, in spite of the fact that we have less money than necessary to completely renovate the building, we can have, with this less amount of money, a new kind of hybrid building, which was half an old building, half a new sort of covered square in which we can do many different things. You will see afterward, I hope, in the video, that this very place sometimes is a place of event like this one, but also a place in which an association distribute food, that is unsold food from the local neighborhood market. There are skaters that use this place as a place to train and have skaters meeting, because this place, after a proposal of different association, is now managed by a pact of collaboration. If you're okay, I will try to see this video just to give you the flavor of what this place is. So let's go with the video. Can you see it? Of course, we will share also this one. I don't say it's finished. Okay, I guess so. No, it was just to give you really a flavor of what can happen in this space, and that usually happen in this place. As I said, with the money of CO4CITIES, we renovate the building. We just put that sort of container with the toilet, which you can see over there, and we decided to let this place with the minimum necessary infrastructure in terms of electric facilities, and yeah, really the minimum requirement in order to have the maximum possible variety of activity that you can activate here. And of course, as every pact of collaboration of the CO-City project, the startup wasn't that easy because it begins exactly with the pandemic, but nonetheless, it's now growing in terms of activity, and what I guess it's the most important thing, in terms of mutual trust between the city administration and the association, the entities that are collaborating with us in managing this place. It's an experiment, it's a challenge, a proper challenge. On the one side, I mean, not on one side, firstly, because of the strange place that we are in, but it's also an opportunity. And the really strange thing that happens is that having a place like this, covered but open, it was quite an interesting place, it became interesting during the pandemic, after the proper lockdown, because it was an open place in which you can, I mean, you can congregate without having the problem of being in a closed space and giving, yes, a bit more safety in terms of, I mean, being socially near, but in a safe condition. It was, of course, not planned result of the project. The interesting thing, I guess, is that with the CO-City project, we were able to experiment this kind of innovative and not ordinary situation, both in terms of the process and in terms of governance and in terms of the kind of typology of public spaces we are working on. So I think that this is the framework and the proper innovative aspect of a project such as CO-City, in terms, as I said, both of tools and results. And it's an ongoing process. I mean, it's nothing, as I said also before with many of you yesterday, I mean, CO-City was meant to be the startup of something that it's now going on, and that it's at the very beginning, considering also the 2 years of pandemic that, I mean, how can I say, influenced a lot the quality of activity that we can run. I just like to say you these presenting this space as a proper touchable effects of a project such as CO-City. I think that this kind of experimentation and this kind of the kind of tool we are using to manage this kind of places are not still mainstream in the public administration, neither in Turin nor in other Italian municipality. But I guess that this fact of being not mainstream, of being a bit on the margin, gives us space to experiment innovative tools and innovative projects such as CO-City. So maybe let's stay at the margin. Okay, thank you very much. Indeed, I will give, after I presented myself, I introduce you to, I introduce Fabrizio Barbiero, that will tell us something about what happens after CO-City, what is happening now after CO-City with the new UIA project the city is running and Fabrizio is coordinating, which is called Tonight.
Thank you everybody. I see a lot of friends here, It's a pleasure to see all of you in Torino. And I would like just to present you our project tonight. Okay, and so the first thing I wanted to share with you is the strict connection between tonight and the CO-City. Okay, and I think, Gianni, we are a part of the same family. Yeah, we are brother, but that doesn't work. Okay. Yes, we are brother. Gianni is this guy. Okay. Exactly, we are brother. And why we are brother? Because we are all maybe coming from the same experience, the same vision, the same idea of the city. What we have learned from CO-City? I think it's two things. One, the legacy is very much important, the legal framework. It's incredible, the legal framework. It's too much important, no, in terms of urban commons. And the second one, Gianni, for me, is to see in the city the civil society ready to take care of the urban spaces. I don't remember how many submissions we have received as a Pacto Collaboration C, no? 19? 120. 120 organizations, local community decides to take care of public spaces. That is amazing. This is amazing. And so it is very, very important if you want to continue in this direction to support this kind of energy, no? So we wanted to support this energy and valorize this capacity. I have some problem with, okay, so tonight is not an innovative project, absolutely. It's not innovative. Because try to capitalize what we have learned from CO-City. So the focus has impact. It's not innovative. And why it's not innovative? Because the idea is very easy. Just try to do what the Italian legislators want in terms of urban security. The legislator is very clear, no? When he talks about the urban security. He said, urban security is just to take care of public spaces, to improve social inclusion. Okay, so the direction is very clear. That's what we have to do, no? To renovate public spaces, to engage the civil society, to promote social inclusion, to create a new pact of collaboration, to sustain the engagement of the citizens. So the mission is very, very direct, very, very clear, so it's not innovative. We have to do what the legislator asks to do. And so we have adopted two very classic approach, no? We are coming from URBACT, so we know very well, no? Integrated approach and a community-based approach. So we have set up an interdepartmental steering committee in the city of Torino. So we have involved different departments coming from urban regeneration, no? From welfare, from the green and the mobility, in order to talk about urban insecurity, to talk about how to face the perception of urban security in the urban poor area. It's not only a matter of local policy, the urban insecurity. So we use the classic approach that we wanted to use when we wanted to launch a design a urban regeneration program, no? So the first thing is to involve our department and also to ask the civil society, no, to launch, design, co-design services, action, plans, ideas together with the cities. So we have focused our attention in a specific area of Torino along the River Dora, specific space and a specific time during the night. No? Maybe when the perception of urban security is higher than during the day. No? And why? Because there is nothing in this area during the night. There is no open services, there is no public services, it's nothing. So it's very difficult for the citizens to stay to either the public spaces because there is no nothing. So the idea is to help the local community to activate new services during the night, to sustain, not just giving only money, but to sustain, because maybe we have a new legal framework, no? Because maybe we can work together. Maybe we can decide to co-manage different urban spaces. And so we have invested €1 million for the public, for the community activation. And for urban innovative actions is a very huge amount of resources. I don't think if, I see you, but I don't think if in other European project there is a lot of money for civil society in order to help them to organize services. And that part of money, we have decided to invest in urban regeneration, innovation, public spaces, but in very specific urban spaces. And before we have signed agreement with the local actors. For example, we have signed agreement with the university, no? The university in Torino is not open during the night. There is a lot of students during the day, but in the night there is no one. So we have an agreement. We say, okay, we renovate the public spaces around the university campus, but you have to open the study room during the night. And so, no, in autumn, we will see study room open the night, and we also have renovated public spaces around the university. Another example is Giardini Pellegrino, no? And so we have signed an agreement with a local organization, Fondazione Comunità. We have signed a pact of collaboration thanks to CO4CITIES. And so they take care of public spaces and we will renovate the public spaces. So this is the approach. If you are active, we will help you to be more active and more be efficient. We will renovate public spaces and we will give you resources, what you need to activate public services in the public spaces, because we want people in the public spaces during the night in order to promote the perception of urban security. The idea is to create a social infrastructure around the longer river, okay? So this is our ambition. And you see the some results about the project coming thanks to tonight. We will receive 84 projects in a very specific and little urban spaces. So we spend 1 year to dialogue with the territory during the COVID time, and it was not absolutely easy to talk with the civil society. We organized a lot of Zoom conference. I don't know, I think something like 50 Zoom conference to dialogue, to understand the needs, to present the project, and maybe to redesign our call to action. So 84 projects and 19 projects have been funded. This is the partial results in terms of engagement, involvement, organization, event. No, you can see 300 events in the public spaces during the first 6 months, 7,000 people involved, and 200 square meters of public and private spaces redeveloped in 6 months. This is a picture of an older project being implemented along the river. The project we will close, this project we will close by the end of this year. And another important, I think, result of tonight is the leverage effect. You know, we have allocated more or less 2 million euro, no, in renovation public spaces and European society, not to design services. But now we can say that the Turin will invest more than 10 million euros. So we will collect money coming from European funds. And now we will organize 2 days ago, no, a local event in Dora Riverside to present all the action that the city of Torino want to implement in this area. This is the dossier. You can see all the action we will organize and implement in this area. If you want to have more information, we will leave the dossier behind you. You can see all the activities and all the public spaces renovation that we want to implement. And another important project, initiative, activities in tonight is that we are implemented an Uber data platform in order to analyze all the data coming from the ground, no? Coming from the civil society, coming from the media, coming from statistical official data, in order to understand very well the phenomena, no, of human security in this area, to understand better. And now this platform will be used not only for the project, but will be used by all departments of the city of Torino. So this is another important result in terms of impact, because I think we are too old to be just only innovative. No, we need the impact. I'm too old. So we will spend too much time to be innovative every day, no, in every project, in order to respond to the European call. Okay, but now it's time to change and to think about impact. If we organize, we will participate in urban innovative action. Okay, try to be innovative, but please pay attention about the impact. No, otherwise it's very difficult, no, to restart from the beginning with a new idea and not capitalize what we have learned. And I think we have learned a lot from CO4CITIES. So thank you very much, Gianni, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Yes, you said something important that we saw also in the conversation we had yesterday. What you're saying about the necessity to be focused on impact is another word to be focused on in the short-termism of the project framework, of being in a situation in which in 3 years you have to do something. In 3 years you can start something. But what's important is what happens in the long run. And in a way, as you were saying, what you did, what you do in 3 years is related on what you did in the 10 past year. So, I mean, this vision, this long-term vision, focused on impact, or on what remains, on what is capitalized, on what became an habit rather than innovation, is key in almost everything we are doing. Time for a coffee break now, quarter of an hour, more or less. And then we will begin to talk about investment plan, whether this afternoon we will talk about our Springboard plan. Coffee break, thank you. I invite Daniela in at the table and everyone to sit. Thank you. Okay, in the next session, we will talk about investment plan, the investment plan you are working on. As you know, unfortunately, Levente, that was supposed to coordinate this session, could not be here, but as you can see, he will perfectly substituted by Christian and Daniela. So I give the floor to them in order to begin this part of this second morning session. Daniela.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So good morning, everybody. I guess the coffee break was good also to get ready, and it was a very interesting input between yesterday and today also to understand more of the work of Turin. But now the point of this session is really to get into more what inspired the experience from Turin into the other cities. So what we would like to do, our plan is also to arrange a bit of time. We have time together until 1, is that correct, Gianni?
Pardon?
With the agenda, we have the time until 1, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what I would suggest is that we do it like this. I have 2 slides, promise it's very, very short, before giving the floor to you cities, to try and give a little bit of input about your investment plan. So maybe you can also, if you like, when you're presenting your work, maybe react to that, specifically looking into the European funds. There was already much said, for instance, by Eddie Adams about URBACT and the European Urban Initiative. I will look into, and those are the so-called, we spoke about it online, the direct funds, so the funds that you as cities can directly apply to the European Union. The other thing that there is the funds that you will get through the regions and through the managing authorities. And this is, it's 2 slides, I promise. It's super short, and for those of you who are interested, maybe we can have an online session or I can send you some material. Io chiederei se gentilmente mi potete mandare, 2 slide in PDF. Lo so che non vi piaceva il PDF, però giuro sono solo 2 slide. Grazie. And you can't see them, so I will just use it for myself and I will send them to you via email. So there's 2 things that I would like you to consider also as possibilities for the work that you're doing. So exactly like in the place we're in now, there are 2 types of things that merge together. One is the regeneration of the space, okay? So it's really like, physical intervention in the space. And this is what, I'm simplifying it now for time reasons, this is what would be the European Regional Development Fund, ERDF. I'm sorry, I don't know the acronym in your own language, so I hope this sounds, you can Google it, but the English is ERDF, and this is what would fund the physical intervention. Fantastico, grazie. And the other fund is what would instead is actually investing on the people. So all the people that are taking part of the community and activating the beautiful people we met yesterday, in all the site visits to the Casa di Quartiere. ERDF doesn't fund the activities of those people, but it came up constantly that the financial sustainability is such a huge challenge. So obviously we cannot depend completely on public funds, but let's get creative about how we can use the existing public funds in order to help this type of work. So this is why I will tell you just 2 quick things. We can look into it in a separate session, but I would like, when you're telling about your investment plan, try to relate a little bit to what I'm telling you. So ERDF, we're entering now the 21-27 funding period. I know it's mid-22, but yeah, that's how it is. And out of the different policy objectives, there is one that is PO5. PO5 is Europe closer to citizens. This means that you will be able to make interventions to spaces that are related to social inclusion, urban regeneration. So for instance, it would fund a project like this one, and it would allow you to be able to also interact and combine. I have one question, sorry, because we spoke a little bit. How many of you are, to some extent, experienced with EU funds, especially those of you who are coming from the city administration? Some of you, okay, because okay, good. So that's, would you? Devo stare a favore di... Ah, ok, scusate. Quindi mi devo mettere di là, è meglio? Devo stare ferma. Scusate. I move too much. I'm being told off. Sorry about that. Vabbè. Yeah, I didn't realize that there would be all this video interaction performance thing. So what is interesting about this, so if you're all quite knowledgeable about this, you know that it's not so easy to combine different types of funds. If you're speaking of a place, think about Casa del Parco, where we were yesterday. They're working on social inclusion, they're working also on job creation, but they're also working on environmental issues. It's not so obvious to combine the EU funds for this. So a little attempt from the EU is PO5. Look into this, because there will be, from January more or less, in your regions, funds will be supporting this type of activities. So try to start speaking, if you haven't already started, if your city hasn't already started, with the managing authority. I will go... And I don't know how to go forward. Ti chiedo scusa. Guarda, tanto è proprio l'altra slide, com'è?
Allora, così, giù.
Ah, non sono io.
Sì, sì.
Well, anyway, you can't really see the slide so much, so I will just tell you very briefly what I was trying to show. Vabbè, non fa niente, tanto è talmente piccolo che non si legge, quindi non fa niente. Non ti preoccupare. Grazie comunque. And just very quickly, about the PO5, there will be the possibility of implementing two types of funds. ITI, Integrated Territorial Investment. Poland is very strong on this, so I think in Gdansk, I see, okay. There will be another instrument that will be possible, which is Community-Led Local Development, CLLD. I know some of your countries haven't accepted to use this instrument and will be like Italy. Italy will be working on POMMETRO, so it's a different type of instrument. But I would strongly support the fact that you try to look into the possibility of this. We can talk about it, for instance, we've been working with Lisbon or with The Hague or in other cities around Europe that are working on CLLD. The budgets are usually smaller, but it's specifically gearing towards managing the funding together with the local community. So it's not just that you're giving them the money, but you're managing the money together in deciding how to develop the projects. So this is quite a strong political shift. It would mean that you are able to decide together with the communities how you want to invest. I would suggest to really look into it. The other thing is, I'm sure that in the 28, 2035 or whatever the next funding period, we will be able to work together, ERDF and ESF. We're not there yet, but ESF has tried to integrate all the funds of ESF. Now, the reason why I'm suggesting this is I understand that many of you are coming, for instance, from urban regeneration, maybe I'm wrong, and you might be more familiar with ERDF. When we're talking about this type of projects, please don't forget that one of the biggest EU funds is European Social Fund. And European Social Fund finances activities related to tackling poverty, creating employment, creating skills, social inclusion. So all the activities that are actually being carried out in the spaces that we're looking into could be financed by ESF. It means you have to be creative in combining the ERDF and the ESF funds because they work with different bureaucratical processes. They have different timing. I know this is not still extremely useful and helpful for municipalities that have to become, very skillful in how to combine the things. But this is a really good opportunity to be able to have the public fund that could, for instance, create the seed funding for all the initiatives that take place into the buildings that you regenerate. So the good thing about the ESF Plus is that it's combining all of the previous funds into one big pot of funding. It's a little bit like the European Urban Initiative is trying to coordinate the funding for urban issues for ERDF. ESF is a huge budget coordinated. Again, it will be either direct funds you can apply directly, or there will be funding through your managing authorities, which is the regions. One thing that is maybe a little point of interest of the money is that there is a specific fund that is for social innovation grant scheme. This will be a specific grant scheme that is focusing towards social innovation. And I think this is a very good opportunity for many of the projects that you're working in could apply for the municipality and the NGOs could be applying for the specific scheme. This will be a new scheme that will be launched in 2022. So these are some of the things I think we could look into it maybe in an online session with all of you. But I think this is an interesting opportunity when you're looking into your investment plan. Try to look into not how you can combine ERDF and ESF, and what are the new opportunities of the funding schemes that are allowing maybe, hopefully, for you to be more easily implementing some of your ideas of the projects, also thanks to the investment plan. And this said, I will shut up, and I would like to ask, I think Dansk is the next one. Cluj, sorry about that, okay. So the floor to the Cluj team, and you can enjoy having a full performance with microphones, videos, photo cameras, and so on. So as a general rule for our time together, I would say we give approximately a 15-minute for presentation and about a 10-minute or so for debate together. Would that work out for everybody? So we try to set up. So please, everybody, follow very carefully what the Cluj team is saying, because we do really want to create as much as possible interaction. So make sure you can always grab a quick coffee if you need it. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will make a short introduction for those of you who are not familiar with our investment plan and our objectives. We are focusing on innovation, on youth sector from Cluj. We are focusing on migrant inclusion, and we are relying on 2 pilot projects. The first one is a former restaurant in an historical building. It was called Bricks, so we rely on that same name. We have a big space there which needs renovation. We are at the moment of discussing with the architect about the possibilities of redeveloping the space and still respecting the legal requirements, because it's a monument building. And we have a very useful ULG group, which is composed of university representatives, NGOs, associations. In our last meeting, we discussed with them about the possible functions of the space, and we wanted to see which is their interest in using the space. That's why, after the discussion, we applied a questionnaire to see which are the functions they would like to implement in the space, and how can they contribute with resources like volunteering or maybe equipment. Based on the questionnaire, we had some results that we can develop some workshops there. We can have a one-stop shop for the migrants. They are willing to offer volunteering activities. We need a host for the space. Everyone was saying that it's necessary to have a person there to organize the space, at least one person. And that's the issue we have to consider, like the budget for the human resource. And we were considering that at the beginning we can use volunteering, and also the employees from the International Department Office, which is the department that owns the space. The other one, we were relying to the city offices of the city hall in the neighborhoods. We have 7 city offices of the city hall in the neighborhoods, and we were considering of using those spaces after the working hours. We have working hours from starting at 8 and we finish at 4. And based on the fact that the people that work in those city halls are long working there and they started to know the community in the area, we considered that maybe we can use them and their relation to the community to see which are the functions that we can implement in those spaces. For example, we started with the city hall in the neighborhood of Mănăștur, which is one of the biggest districts in Cluj. Our colleague who works there, it's been working there for 17 years, so she basically knows the people in the area. And her first idea, when we asked her, what do you think we can do here after we close the city hall office? And she said that we could implement some training process with the people in the area to help them use the digital procedures. we have been developing very much this part of digital services, and there are a lot of people who do not know how to access them. And she was saying that maybe we can use the students from the university to assure some training and to facilitate their access to these services. Once they will get familiar with it, we can develop even more, and maybe we can expand the area of activities to creating some workshops, some exhibitions, and whatever the people in the area may need. We consider that this could be a good start to even form a community, to make them aware about the space, the existing space, and the possibilities of using it. And we are starting the process. And about the funding, you want to say about the funding? We are considering the local budget. We are in the process of the public bid for the technical part, the services and the architecture. And then we were looking at structural funds for recovery of the building, and also structural funds for furbishing and technological equipment. And also we are considering private funds, and we are trying to get them involved through CSR and to using publicity, because the spaces in the central area, when we're referring to bricks, the spaces in the central area of the city is a circulated area. And besides that, I think it was just the volunteering from human resources.
And this is the story. This is the story of
investment
CO4CITIES and the investment plan that we worked with the ULG and the implementation team during this project. And then there's the overlayer of the story of the learning that we start to have, and I feel like we are feeding that learning even now. And it has to do with this, I don't know, eye-opening situation in which, for example, I found myself, when I realized that these spaces, somehow I feel like CO4CITIES is showing us the next step in the way we are running public services in connection with citizens without initially intending to do so. We are working in Cluj in digital transformation process. We have this strategy that says, okay, the city needs to transfer all the utilities and the connection and the dialogue that normally legally has to have with the citizens in an alternative which is digital. If somebody does not want to see us anymore, they should have the opportunity to do so. And we are running in the department that we both work, this project called Antonia, in which we are implementing the first virtual functioner. And then we are working in parallel with CO4CITIES, and we realize, working with our colleague from Mănăștur, which suggested that we can use the physical space after hours in order to better prepare the citizens to receive the digital services that we are working during the hours to get them, that we might find ourselves at the end of the project in an even better situation in which we don't need to use her as a public employee to provide services for 8 hours, because machines will be, we can install them there to do them, and she can be this neighborhood heart center person, able to connect like a teacher, like Piotr said in the break. And we may be in the need of looking for some sort of social innovation funding to work with them, with the people in the city hall, how to transform them from public employees that are delivering and answering questions on public services as they did for the last 17 years. And in parallel, they create this identity of center heart of the visual face, which is the city, into the person that can connect and can maybe boost a little bit the change within the neighborhood. So somehow I feel like while we are working on this thread, which is super important because it gives us a little bit of structure, and from the bottom up we are building with our colleagues a different way of looking at their job. In a very intangible way, we are from the top down coming with this new perspective of our meaning in the neighborhood. So in the end, we will find ourselves with these spaces, which will no longer be just city halls in the neighborhood. It will be hearts in the neighborhood, in which I don't know what will happen, but somehow all of us together collectively with the citizens and the people in the neighborhood, we will figure it out in the way. So yes, I would very much like to know what's next in terms of resources in order to use this energy and this knowledge that I feel we have, at the end of CO4CITIES to do the next thing, which should be more than just spaces and utilities, as we first thought. In the beginning, when we joined, we thought, let's make the most of it with this physical space, more than we already know how to do. But also this connection of the new language that the collective
Yes.
all can do.
Yes, and raising awareness about the existing spaces and the possibilities of using those spaces besides of being a city hall office. Like if you were to ask her 2 years ago about the possibilities of using a city hall for training or exhibitions or something like that, she would have been very reticent. And I don't think that these proposals would have come up. But now people are starting to realize that the spaces are not only labeled as a city hall or something like different, I don't know what, because in the afternoon or there are several possibilities to use the space. And once she got to realize this, I think she can push the people in the area to get involved, because they are the same people coming by every year. They know each other. She is like home there.
And the next step after this investment plan, I don't even know if we should put it on the document as an outcome of the CO4CITIES, or we just see it as the next step in the next project, is this Uptown Downtown Cluj-Napoca platform that kind of starts to emerge in our conversation, which will be a digital tool to make visible all the infrastructures available in the city, not just owned by the city, but owned by anybody who understands the mutual interest of offering them to the co-usage. Like, for example, in the last week, I attended an innovation camp where we had a representative of the quadruple helix, so companies, universities, businesses, NGOs, stuff like that. And it was more focused on startup needs. But it was the first time that I heard somebody, a CEO from an big IT company, saying, I have some spaces in our office building, which we created initially to work with the human resources, schedule and all. But I would like to offer them for weekends, for example, to the neighborhood to come and use them. And if we manage to put all those in some sort of a canvas, digital canvas, so you as an individual coming to Cluj for a week, you need access to a 3D printer and some place to have a meeting and some place to meet with friends and some place to, I don't know, create a workshop, then you can book on this digital platform all these time slots. And depending on who you are as a stakeholder in this collaborative platform, you can either pay or not for it. So at some point, I think we can even figure out a business model on the long term on this. So I feel after the investment plan and the CO4CITIES, the next step for Cluj will be this Uptown Downtown Cluj-Napoca tool that will make visible all the opportunities to connect in all layers. Paid, unpaid, big number of people, kids, migrants, startups, professionals, everything. And it's all come from this, I don't know, structured thread. Thank you.
So, no, but before you leave, Oana, we're gonna use this session also as a, sort of peer review, and of course we welcome questions from other cities to you as well. I had one question, and we've been discussing this also with Levente. You just mentioned the quadruple helix. You know that CO4CITIES is essentially about enabling power sharing with city inhabitants and the users of these assets, spaces, infrastructure. So, and you're doing a terrific job at enabling youth, students, the migrants. So how do you see them? How do you see their role in the governance? Because if you talk about the quadruple helix, you are still in a world where they are just beneficiaries. There are no co-managers, no co-owners.
We are talking here about the governance of the managing of the spaces, or the governance of the, I don't know, the city, the decision making on big issues in the city, or both.
We're talking about the spaces.
Okay.
So I just want to push you. I'm trying to, because for the audience.
So, for example, that one of the reasons that in our team we invited to join us here some colleagues from the patrimony department of the city hall is exactly to push a little bit the limits of the law. In Romania, everything is super structured from the top down, from the national law. So even if the city has the understanding of and the will of being more collaborative and more, I don't know, indulging in the responsibility share with the other actors of the community, the law does not allow us to do. So we need to find some ways in order to make it happen. So one example for the youth component, for example, it's this: we work with representative juridical bodies like the Youth Federation. It's an NGO which reunites 45 youth organizations, most of them coming from the university background. So you have all the students from all sections and reunited there. And this is a legal entity, so we can maybe entrust them based on a protocol to run a specific place. And then we will have this, our colleagues from the international affairs, which got the BRIC space to be administered, and the fact that they invited us, which are a completely different department in the city hall, to join forces with them in order to purpose the space, it's already some sort of a collaboration which is not visible in any document. Legally, it's the city that has the space, it's Emilia's department that has the management, but it's us who are offering in this collective perspective the decision of how we use it. I'm absolutely sure, but I don't know, I will never admit that I said that. I'm absolutely sure that we will disrespect some rules and we will not make it in the procedural way. But I feel in Cluj, at least, we are at the point where you need to push a little bit boundaries in terms of regulation in order to show everybody that there is no real risk. Nobody will live with that building. Nobody will, I don't know, go move there. It just needs to start. Yes, and you need, like a public employee, you need to feel responsible of saying no. I feel like up to maybe the last 5 years, everybody in the public entity, not just the city hall, but any public entity, was like, my role here is to say no to everything that is not allowed. Let's try to stop that, and let's try not to say no, even if you cannot say yes, you know? I mean, that's the gray space I'm trying to push. We are trying to push a little bit the limits. And then it helps a lot that the community, I don't know, the history of Europe, of cities or whatever, takes us to this place where sharing, it's much more admitted. It's not so much about me and I think it's also age has to do something. But maybe 10 years ago, it would have been more about me, how smart I am, how amazing I am. I don't care about that anymore. I want us to be happy and to be good and to be, I don't know, working. And to, both of you said, and I really feel we are all aligned with this. We need to stop being extraordinary. We need to start being ordinary by being extraordinary every day, you know?
I would try to just push a little bit also. How is it working? What is your questions to the Cluj team? Or is there anybody else from the Cluj team who would like to add anything? So as you think very quickly, I would ask you, just it's more of a comment rather than a question. Consider whether, because you mentioned a lot of the volunteering, and I think volunteering has a fantastic energy and it's fundamental. I wonder also, based on what we saw yesterday from all the case studies, is given that there will be available funding also for human resources and a lot of social projects, if it could be also part of your, at least for the public funding seeking, and partially maybe also with the company, the corporate social responsibility funds, maybe you could combine, whether it could be an opportunity for also trying to invest on the community, not to make them dependent on the public funding, but maybe as an enabler for them also to have some startup fund for their social project. So I don't know whether you've thought about that. And I would like to maybe collect a couple of questions from the audience. I think you have a question. Go.
I would like only to know, what do you take innovative from Turin, from the best practice of Turin that is to be transferred? Exactly. Also, what do you take from the tour that we have done yesterday together that is innovative for you? Because if it's the same model as before.
You know,
I would just say, just a sec, I would also, is there anybody else who would like to have a comment? So you can both answer then to all the different comments. Don't be shy. Come on, you already had a couple of coffees today. And we had an early, calm start. I'd be very curious from the Budapest team and the Dansk team if you have comments and questions. Something that resonates, something that doesn't sound too good. You were nodding from Budapest. What were you nodding to? You can also speak without the microphone. Thank you, Magda. Thank you.
Thank you, Magda.
Okay. No. Okay. That's nice city. I've been there twice. Okay. My question is about of the municipal new. I compare it with what we have in sort of spaces where we locate our public administration. It would be absolutely impossible to share this the local community and giving these spaces in the afternoon to the people. So my question is how you will do it, and maybe what's maybe it depends on the sort of public functions you will have there, because I understand that not each of our administrative functions can be located. But my question is how and what type of administrative functions you will be putting there.
Any comments or questions also from the Budapest team? That was very spontaneous. I like that.
So the question I've always wanted to ask is like, how flexible can the municipality, the local administration be with your projects? I mean, if you want to involve a lot of NGOs, it must be quick to answer any demands. But that's the problems we are facing, basically. So, yes.
I will give you again a very unorthodox answer. These spaces, they are given by the city, the municipality, the local council, if you want. They are given in the responsibility of chief services in the city hall. The neighborhood city halls are in my department, so I'm running this, and Roxana works with me in that department. And the other one, the bricks, it's Emilia Botezans from the International Affairs. And I think you come back to the fact that the city hall, a municipality, does not exist. There are people. And maybe it's the fact that we have been immersed in all these energies and all these good practices. And to answer Nadia's question, coming and seeing people doing stuff in spaces in other cities empowers you to go home and not be afraid to get out of the 8 to 5 dynamic that you inherited when you joined the city hall. So there is no law saying that it cannot be done. Therefore, I don't ask any questions and I just do it. Once I do it and people will start to use it, it will socially become unacceptable not to use public spaces the most you can. Okay, because we are paying for heating there, we are paying for electricity, we are paying for everything, and we close it at 5. For maybe in the middle of the year when you have a low season of demands, maybe you have 5 requests that day. Okay, they have a very, very high demand in specific times. They have high points of demands on the different seasonal demands, like parking places and stuff like that, or paying taxes and stuff like that. But other than this, there are really unused spaces and really unused people. I have this dilemma as a chief service of that department for years, what to do if it would be smarter to close them and bring them back in the center and work better on the quality of the service that they offer, or go along with this policy that was done 3 years ago to have physical spaces in order to control the mobility and not to bring everybody in the same place. So I feel it's smart to have them all over the place. And before joining this type of projects, I have never thought about those places differently from the function that I took when I joined the City Hall. It's this that makes us kind of get out of the box and find ways. And in the end, it's our city, it's our buildings, it's our services, it's our partners, the citizens, it's my neighborhood. We are living close to a neighborhood like that. What keeps us, if there is no big no in the law, you should not open after 5, why shouldn't we try? I don't know, maybe we will not manage to do it. Maybe we'll have problems identifying resources for these gatekeepers that you need to have there. And yes, having a transparent and, I don't know, accessible way of all NGOs to be able to access the potential new, I don't know, spaces that are open, it's another different project. But we should start this. We should start by not saying no. I think this is on short the answer. And to answer Nadia's, what I feel, and I really would like to, I don't know, I feel to say that I go home after yesterday with a charge that I take on myself to trust more other people, you know, because you have all these spaces with those people that you call them architects, and maybe you don't go there for a month, but you know that every single day they are there and they're doing the right thing. And I need to go back and trust that specific people will do the same, even if I'm in charge with that space and if something bad happens, I will have to, I don't know, personally respond. But I should find this mechanism of just trusting that good things happen when we are not there, you know? And I think that's what I mostly liked yesterday from all of this.
I think we are going home to find our architects, yes. Definitely. And our colleagues from the land department that were here, they are already starting to look for alternative ways for us to be able to use more the space and to integrate more people into the functions of the space. So we have the spaces, we can use it, we can involve whoever we want to involve, and we will find the protocol to use it within the legal provision.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I find what you're saying is very, very fascinating from the point of view of the right to the city. We have for many years been suffering from the idea that there is the public administration and what it does, and then there are the inhabitants. And I think that in this post-industrial, new digital, green moment, we have to find a way of eliminating the barriers between what is the administration and what is the inhabitant. So why not put the inhabitant into the administration? COVID has, in Gdańsk, for example, still the result that you cannot go into the public administration because there are security guards asking you where you want to go and what you want to do. So I think we have to really rethink what it means, this public place, which is the mairie in French, or the local administration. Is it theirs, the people who work there, or is it ours, the people who live there? This is the fundamental debate about the right to the city. What does it mean that I am a person living in a city? Can I go in or can I not? This is, and I really think that you have found in yourself a space for motivation to see what can be innovative, because there is not a no, so there is a supposed yes.
If it's not no,
I think this is a fantastic space of freedom which you have found.
I have to admit that we have this empowerment from the mayor. Maybe if we would be under a very strict administrative leadership, maybe it will not have opened us the liberty to think that. But our mayor is all the time saying two things. It's you know already, the eco not ego approach, and then he all the time tells us, you know, this city is not waiting for us to understand or to learn or to, I don't know, get new skills. People in the city are smarter than us, quicker than us, eager to do stuff than us. We need to run really fast all the time in order to stay in the same place. And after hearing this a while, then this is kind of the approach you feel to do. I'm not afraid, because I know in the end that even if we will fail and somebody will destroy a space or something will be, I don't know, some equipment will be damaged or whatever, the ones who are supposed to judge my responsibility there will have the openness to understand that I meant well, you know.
But not being afraid is fundamental.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
So I have one last question that is going to be the last questions for each of the investment plans, because I think that this is an aspect that is should be developed further by each of the 3 cities, and that's related to the climate change. So have you seen today, like Eddie Adams, he mentioned the 3 mega trends that the EU has devised: inclusion, digital, and climate change. Of course, you're doing great on inclusion and digital, but what about climate change? What about, you know, so your actions? Are you gearing them towards tackling the challenges that climate change is going to pose to your city?
I'm going to be, again, really honest with you and tell you that I think from
Be
all
dishonest if you want.
No, I don't want to be dishonest. I think we have a very hard challenge here because Cluj and Transylvania, it's in a place which does not allow you to see and feel the climate change yet. And it's super complicated to go to people who came from a background, a communist background, which included all that needs to be done in this climate change tackling. So everything that everybody will need to do in order to tackle the climate change was already done in Romania during the communism. So for every single individual, especially for our parents and our grandparents, to do the right thing would mean to go back to the lifestyle you were forced into in communism. So it will be, I think, an extra complicated charge for the ones who are supposed to know better in this ecosystem in Romania and Cluj included, to do the right thing. But again, the opportunity is that we understand rationally, we understand first that we are a part of it, second that there is an opportunity. The way I see it, for example, as my role as an individual in this team, is that it's our last call in order to give access to potential creators of content and solutions and innovative tools from our talents, local talents, to the big market that's gonna be created in order to tackle the climate change. So I take it, I don't know, business-wise, if you want. I mean, you cannot trust people to want to do the right thing because it needs to be done, because otherwise you will not have water, as someone of you said yesterday, that you did not have snow in the winter, so you don't have water, and we don't feel that in Cluj. But in the same time, we feel that we would like to be on the market with our talents, with products and startups that offer solutions. And we see it from that perspective, you know. So first, I think we need not to lose time, not to do every single day what needs to be done. If the motivation is not the same and not the right one, it's important not to stay and not to lose time, you know.
But we are taking this into consideration when renovating the buildings. I talked with the architect, and he said that he is considering to install solar panels on the terrace, and maybe we can identify other solutions to make it sustainable. So it's a start.
All right, thanks. Daniela.
Thank you. So who will be the next city presenting? Is it Budapest or Gdansk?
Gdansk. Who is presenting for Gdansk? That's the question. It's a large team. You will start, Michal will start, and Dorota will follow.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm from. I will just make a short introduction because our CO4CITIES project was a bit different than the other ones, because we have two topics that we were dealing with, and the first one was the idea to create a cohesion center with the stakeholders, with the beneficiaries, and to think how to do it together, and what kind of spaces we need to provide such a service. And the second one was related to one of the biggest, not one of the biggest communal building at Ubocze 24. This is the street and a very still a neighborhood with needs. So who will start? Dorota, you will be the first. So Dorota will present our idea to implement the investment plan related to the cohesion center, and after that, Przemek with Eva will say a few words about the Ubocze and enjoy. I think, because yeah.
Very good.
I'm just to introduce. So yeah,
Great,
they
thanks.
done that work. So
Very good
yeah.
organization.
Fine. No, then not so visible. Okay, so I'm going to start to introduce you some of the points we were in the process during the Urbact project and CO4CITIES concerning the Social Cohesion Center. And I want to update with the few changes, important changes here, because our starting point was a physical building, a physical space, a very hard infrastructure. And we were working on co-designing it, what to do it, who should be there, how to manage it. There was a big change that we lost the building because of the decisions that we are not able to implement accessibility in the building. Then in further months, there was a second change because we were supposed to build a new building. And there was also a change that we are not able to do it during some new, well, not new, but regulations that are not really helping to build a new building for social services, excluding the social apartments. So the point we are now, or that we are dealing with the recent months, is to change the idea from hard infrastructure to the soft infrastructure. So what does it mean as social cohesion, where we can, how we define it and how we also can implement it in social service. And what I find important to underline is that this change from the hard infrastructure to the soft infrastructure, I find it important and not really neglecting the idea, meaning that working on definitions, working on relations and on communication, on understanding things is something that we can, in fact, migrate from one place to another, not depending on a hardware, meaning the building, but meaning that if we are not migrating, how to say it, if we are moving with the values and with a common understanding, it's very helpful to work among people, yes, and on improving social services. And another context I want to also underline is the context of recent months in Poland and also specifically in Gdańsk, meaning the Russian aggression in Ukraine, meaning that many of the context of our social services is changing because of new people coming, because of new challenges coming, because of the change of the budget, also understanding who is our citizen and what kind of support and help they need. Yeah. And what I find and would like to underline you, what I find like three main points, conclusions I want to share, and what I find important in my job as a ULG coordinator are three things. One thing is that change is the only constant thing we have. Yeah. So meaning that the things we were on during last more or less 12 months is the many changes we were facing. Yeah? Concerning the decisions, the regulations, and also some other context outside from local environment, meaning Gdańsk, Poland, but having this global impact we are having. Yeah? The second conclusion would be for me that the relations are very important. So what I find important in my job is that I'm meeting with people who already have many relations with each other because of other cooperation, meaning that organizations who are giving social services and also public officers, they are not on different islands. They do have many things in common. They do have already a strong relationship, and I'm waving to my colleagues from the Gdańsk municipality, meaning that if we are meeting with each other, that you know the other people. They are not strangers for you. You already have done many projects together, and what is opening for in this moment or in this perspective is the option that we are able to have open discussions. So we are arguing, we are having different opinions, and we are having an open discussions.
And I find it also very important concerning social innovation or working on urban topics, thinking about the city for citizens. And the third thing I would like to underline, what I find important, is a common interest we have. And so even if there are so many changes, even if we are not, we lost the building, we are still thinking where to find a good place, a proper place for a social cohesion hub, we do have a common interest on talking about it and discussing it. So there are people meeting who think that social services and people are important in the city. Meaning that we are not only giving the social service for ones who are needing it because they are the socially neglected groups, there are groups under discrimination, but we are thinking about people who could be our beneficiaries, meaning that they are citizens, just like that, everyday people. Yeah? So it's opening the topic for not thinking only, okay, where we can fix some social problem, where we can fix people and give them some solutions, but also thinking like in general as citizens and their resources. Because for sure, I mean, if I'm listening to you as from other cities and experiences, they usually lack, I don't know the English word, popyt and podaż. So meaning that, yeah, so can you help me? Supply and demand. So they are usually not equal things, yeah? There are usually more demands from people and more social problems that we are able to manage in our municipalities and NGOs. So why not to use other resources to have it? And the last comment about my work and the process we were on during last months, I find it also very important that we could have a bit of a stop, a freezing spot. Meaning, in Gdańsk, we already have since few years, 2016 and 18, two very important local policies, meaning the policy for integration of migrants and the policy for equal treatment. And it was a very good stop to have a kind of think like what went wrong or what was successful. How do we define it now, equal treatment? How do we find integration? And because of the relation, because of common interests, and because of constant changes, we are able also to have it as a common topic and have it as a stopping point, yes, to raise the questions and to discuss it. Why so? Because what we also observe that many NGOs and also municipality, we are from one task to another, from one budget to another, from 1 month to another. And the CO4CITIES was also an opportunity to have this point, okay, to ask questions and think like, what do we mean by social cohesion, or where is it like implemented already or not implemented? And that's my comment so far. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have a question. No. Do you want to have after, no? After together? Yeah.
Stick around. Just...
Yeah. But I see that. Thank you.
Can we have a
Yeah, it's
presentation?
working. It's working. It's there.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice to see you guys.
Hi, hello. My name is Przemek Klus,
And I'm Eva.
we work in Gdańsk Foundation of Social Innovation. So we are NGO in one of the district of Gdańsk, which is not popular.
It's very popular, but not in a way we would like it to be popular.
Yeah. It's how we see yesterday about neighborhood house. It's important for us that we are deeply rooted in this district. We run the neighborhood house for 13 years.
And we've been working together for 12, I think.
Yeah. And there is a partnership, strong partnership in the district for more than 20 years. So when we started about talking about communal building, which is the project in CO4CITIES, we knew this building from the different projects and the need, because the kids, youth, the adult people come to our neighborhood house, and we got a lot of discussion about the situation in this area of district and about this building, and there was not very often there wasn't a pleasant discussion about the place.
And we are also providing those guys with social services, so we had the chance to gain their trust, showing that that our support has value, that our support is something meaningful. So maybe it's good to cooperate with us on different levels and with different issues.
So that's our involving in in this field, the 12 years of cooperation in neighborhood house, the participatory revitalization of neighborhood scapes or backyards.
That's the guy.
Yes, so there is a lot of the experience on our side on working with people in the also in participatory way. What is important for us? But what about the building? The building is as old as our neighborhood house because
yes, it is, yeah.
was built in about 2009. Looks like it was 40 years old, but it's much younger.
It looks like a dormitory.
Yes, it's 170 council apartments there. There is a lot of problems, a lot of disadvantaged people. A lot of people call this building and the neighborhood the ghetto.
Yes, and there's high debt. There's high involvement of social services, many police interventions, and many issues connected with taking care of the building, and people who are unable to follow social rules will have problem with keeping their hygiene within their apartments. So serious stuff, and a lot of different levels of issues that they are experiencing.
We started to work in the space over there on the backyard of this building 3 years ago. But when we started to work with people, there was a lot of discussion that there is a lot more important things for people inside of the building. And we couldn't do that with money for the backyard inside. So sometimes I see that the social change, it's on the spectrum from in our projects, from powdering, for making makeup to the revolution. And sometimes I'm thinking where we are in this. So for people, the backyards was more about the powdering, making up, but they ask, okay, let's do something more. That's
Yes.
why we started to think about going deeply in the theme of the building.
People were saying it's hard to talk about recreation, spending your time outside, if your quality of life is low, if you're coming back to a home when you don't want to be, when you don't want to stay in.
The problems, over the million zloty of debt in the whole building. There is lack of quartering methodology. So the city, sometimes one of the parts of the city don't want to really say how they put the people and who choose them.
On what the decision is based, or on what issues, what kind of people are being quoted there.
Yeah, so sometimes it's a kind of last stop for some people in this building. The bad reputation of district and this region, even in district, the overlapping problems and multi-dimensional social exclusion is we started to collecting data to show that it's really a different dimension and this exclusion going on this level. And I think the very important thing, the feeling of the sense of hopelessness expressed by the residents when we are talking with the people. The main dream is to go out, to get out from this building, to
live somewhere else,
yeah,
to exchange the apartment, not to be there at all. So it's hard to talk about community if the only dream of the community is not to be a community at all.
So what's the goal? We are trying to see the situation through the people needs, and because the tools are made up by us, but the needs are from the people, and that's the methodological approach of us to hear people, to think, to check if we understand their needs, and to think how to manage the things. So we know that a lot of things, it's about influence and the lack of influence of the people, about safety, and about the transparency of the whole process, how the people go there. So the goal for us is supporting and creation of strong, and what is important for us, self-governing community. So we want to help them to help themselves and to organize them in this situation. So that we're trying to think about empowerment of the residents and introducing transparent engagement process.
And the rule that's behind this is strongly connected with solution-focused approach, where we believe that people are experts on their own lives. We are trying to be experts on change and provide them with tools to make the change they want to implement.
So it's good to get residents council, because in the buildings in Poland where are some communal apartments, but the private one too, there is a law. It says that they got their representatives, they manage things by themselves. But in the 100% communal building, the residents are just people who rent from the city, and they, like in the they are not treated like they could influence. They could call on, ask for somebody, but there is no tools to cooperate each other. So we started to talk with the city and the people. Okay, let's try to make a pilotage of if it's possible to do that. So we started. At first, we got the answer, it's not possible because there is no law about it. So we say, okay, let's try on just the social agreement, and then we started to think if it's possible or not. Okay, so that was the first thing. We are inspired by the Turin and this discussion of the Pact of Collaboration. We thought that way, that we start of the making the resident council, and then resident council as people from the building in process facilitated by us with people from the different department. We sit down and we prepare the Pact of Collaboration for Ubocze, so the things could be done and harmonogram when and what we could do and what not. What could the departments do and what the people from the building could do. And there is the pretty new way of thinking about the cooperation between people, municipality, and NGO. There is some I don't want to go to the details. What we want to do. At the same time, we put on the parking, we use the sponsor
and
money.
It was our dream. But as you say, we put, but it was our dream, and it took us a lot of time, and we are very happy about it.
Yeah, we put the kind of container on the parking lot outside, because we are from the Ubocze. Our neighborhood house is about 1 kilometer.
Maybe even less, but
through railway.
But it's divided by railway, and it's divided by a street. So for guys who are kids, it's not almost impossible without the support of an adult to get to social services on the other side of the railway. So we wanted to come to get to them to make it more available.
So we started to make this. We dreamed it could be good to get the space for all residents, for kids to meet, especially during the winter time or autumn time, to make the space. And it's we got this building with some low problems, but it's a bit of partisans. Yes, okay. And to make a process transparent, we
Coming back to the resident council.
and we wanted to start it with important meeting, not just us and the people, but the vice presidents of the city. So we got the pretty good meeting in the April of 2000 this year. We first trying to do that last year, but it was a problem about the COVID and so on. But it was good meeting about the hearing that the vice presidents were in position to hear what people want to say, what they got the problems, and there was presenting the proposal of Pact of Collaboration and Resident Council.
And it also showed us that we have a strong cooperation with the local government, because for a politician to come to an event when you're going to sit and people will be telling about problems and issues and sometimes shouting it to your face, and it happened even though the facilitation was quite involved. It's something that we showed us that they trust us, that we can take care of the process of dialogue between the residents and the local government.
In last month, because we got 1st July now, but in June we made a campagna, I don't know.
Campaign,
yes. We talk a lot about the candidating to residence council, because not many people wanted to go there. It's hard, so there is a lot of discussion on the neighborhood, a lot of time to spend there, and we finished with 9 candidates, 3 from each the box of the building, part of the building. There is an election took place in the space outside. 3 days of voting. There is 70 people voted. There is a candidate. They go to other neighbors. They discuss about the need of that. So now we got the resident council, 9 persons, 8 women, 1 man. That's the representative of the plan. So the next things for us is conducting the social research on situation in housing and how this should be quartering process looks like. So that's the things we want to finish in to September of this year. And in this year, the pilot evaluation of resident council on the end of the year. And what is important for us now, when we got the resident council, we want to, in this common space of the container, to make it people responsible, make some rules of how we use it, and to give the key for the inhabitants, for the residents, that we are share the space and manage together, not that's NGO rule how it's work, but we're gonna do together. We got a lot of challenges, but we don't have time for that. I think that about investment plan, it was the main topic for us. There is on one hand, there is big discussion with different departments. That's the big thing for making the investment plan real. So the different social projects are on the different department, and maintaining the building is completely different department. And there is communication. There is some communication, but it's a lot of space to do the new things there. So, but we are in this discuss. That's one thing is in investment plan. The part of investment plan, it will be the Pact of Collaboration. I mean, people, residents with the municipal making the plan, so it's ahead of us still. There is
but it's going to happen this year.
Yes, like the next three months. there's still we are maintaining of containers, so we still are looking for additional money to make new things inside, because it's not like finish. And okay, it's there is some still discussion, I think, that's about the investment plan and using the different funds, because in neighborhood house we use different funds, and we know that's now in the European social funds, that's the projects are end in this year and the beginning of the next year, and we are not all funds are achievable for just for NGO. Most of them, I think, it's go through the partnership with the city or through the city. So we don't know about all the possibilities now. So it's the next months will be the situation that we could know how to manage in what place to support this action in the in Ubocze through these different projects.
But we are sure that we are not stopping. We feel responsible that starting the conversation with people, giving them hope, is something that we take very poważnie. Very serious. It's very serious for us. So nevertheless, the funds, we will be there with those guys. But we are not sure on what form, on what scale, but we're gonna cooperate further.
Yeah, we are from Morunia, so we are gonna run this project in anyway. Yeah, thanks.
Nothing's gonna stop us.
But support us.
So this said, please.
Thank you. Did I understand correctly that the cooperation between you and the municipality was initiated by you?
Yes.
Okay, and how was the decision made that you would be the ones to do this project? I'm asking because in Budapest, partially because the political situation is tense and sensitive, there's a lot of emphasis placed on as much transparency as possible when doing cooperations with NGOs. And so this means that the political leadership takes it very seriously, that we shouldn't seem like we're playing favorites with NGOs. And so I was wondering how that is in Dansk.
All right.
If there are, obviously, I don't know, from Turin, yes.
Just a small comments to say that the situation in Ubocze, the situation of neighborhood of interested in social with a higher percentage of social housing or only social housing, fully social housing, have really some specific features that no other kind of neighborhood have in any city, because in dense social housing neighborhood, the phenomenon of ghettoization is always a key issue in everyday life. And I think that, at least in my experience, in those situations, the role of a third part, of a third subject, such an NGO organization, is key. We tend to describe our project in terms of collaboration between citizens, whether organized or not, with citizens and the public administration. But we often forget the key role of being a third facilitator, a third mediator, a third subject, especially in that kind of fragile social context.
Is there a comment maybe from the Cluj team as well? I would invite everybody to keep it comments and questions synthetic, so that then we leave enough time also then for the last presentation also to have enough time for debate.
I have two questions. One, it's about the dynamic in this group, because it is a community. How much do they feel they are a community? Because it's somehow close to, I think your task is more complicated than all of us, all the others, because you have a specific number of actors that you need to address and to find a way to make this miracle work for them. If you are missing an ingredient, then it's complicated to replace it, because you cannot bring an outsider to complete the the seasoning of the soup, you know. So from my question would be, how do you feel this community is working, and if this is a challenge or not? And the second thing, it's about the context that Poland is, and all countries that are neighbor with the Ukrainian war. Do you feel like this might be the potential solution that the city might see, and an opportunity to replicate it maybe quicker and in a bigger scale, because you already did some of the jobs, how you work with people to make them feel belonging? And would you use this, like, it's horrible to say that, like this opportunity in order to create a policy out of your work?
Loads of small, simple questions to which to answer. I think Christian also has a comment.
I can make the comments after they respond to these three questions.
Okay.
The answer is no.
The first things about the cooperation with the city, I think it's similar, like we've heard yesterday, that we know each other with the city from the long time. The people here from the municipality support us for a long time as the foundation and neighborhood house. So we know each other together. We know the different department too, but I think there's always the need of strong leader of the change. And my question sometimes to myself is, are we the leader, or every part should be some leader? Like Giovanni said, we are the third part, but on the municipality level, when the project ends, who trying to say, okay, what's next? We are in this position now, so we are going to departments, knocking the door and say, okay, let's try again, let's do that, pumping, the negotiating and the lobbying and that's all again to do something. So, but I think we got the trust. We started on the level of in our district was our mayor, and we are talking about the different issue, and we realized that it was 2019. We said there is a ubocze. We discussed for many years about this. We have to do that something. She said, okay, let's make a group. Let's do that. So it was important that the mayor said, let's do that. So when we going to different departments, say that the mayor said, let's do it. Okay, so that's the additional motivation to do something. So I don't know, it's the answer for.
But also, we have a long-term history of providing social services in participating in Gdańsk. Our local government has a wide program of cooperation with with NGOs, and we are applying for funds, and we are doing grants within this program, and showing that we are I hope that they are saying the same as I'm saying, that we are trusting partner, and I think it's also a factor in it in terms of transparency.
What I would like to add, that on the daily basis we work on the open calls to make it transparent. But when we experiment, and then we are allowed to choose the partner to experiment with. And in that case, there is the only one such a building in our city, and there is only one NGO trying to deal with it. So that's why we were free to choose this NGO and to work with them. And of course, we trust them, and we work together for, I don't know, 12 years. We know each other. So yeah, so it's based on trust and being able to experiment as a city. So yeah.
Yeah, and obviously there is a huge history of our cooperation, because the idea of the neighborhood houses in Gdańsk is like 15, 17 years old. And this foundation, which at that time was also trying to establish the first neighborhood house in Gdańsk, were our serious partner in building the concept. So the concept already was co-designed with and I would name them now from this 15 years perspective as a territorial organizations, because they are very strongly located and totally responsible. They are even, in many cases, they see more and are feel more responsible for the territory that the municipality does. And that is the really added value. That's what I saw as the strength of this CO4CITIES project, that we can also work on this pact of collaboration, which provide us probably with something, I would not say totally new, but will give added values to the collaboration structures we are already practicing in Gdańsk.
Thank you. I go. Yeah. Two closing words, and then we proceed to give Elsa the space for the others to also have.
Yeah, I was thinking that I agree with what Giovanni said about the role of the third part of this. That's how we feel and how we see our role over there. I lost you. You got a question? That no. Oh, there's comment. Yeah. Yes. And it was two questions about the
policy making.
We dream about it to make this from this pilotage the way to start thinking about different about the community housing in Gdańsk. So, but from our experience, said I don't want to start big discussion about the housing because I know it's scary. So we started to start there, show that it's a good example, and then from this going step by step higher on that. So easy for us. We're thinking about it, but we want to start from this point.
I have just a comment and constructive criticism, put it like that. When I see when I hear the story, there's so much importance on the work on the people. When I look at the draft scheme of the investment plan, it's all on hardcore investment. And I'm sure that on the short term, that's the investment you need the most. And I understand that maybe, it's raining in the homes of the people. So obviously you can't think about having just happy activities if it's raining inside. So I fully understand this. But my suggestion would be try to think of a few years ahead, after also what is together with the hardcore investment, even if that is so necessary, that is the soft in the social skills, because even say that you manage to have the hardcore investment in the next 2 years, and possibly, maybe, hopefully there will be the possibility of having it. You still have to, as exactly as you're doing it, but you have to make sure that there will be the sufficient resources to also expand the work that is on your hands with other NGO, with the assembly, the Citizens Assembly, which will be, maybe having some spin-off projects or something. So my suggestion would be, even though now you feel that the pressure is on the hardcore investment, try to already set up also, additionally to the little voice for the assembly, try to maybe already start thinking of how to expand it, because there are resources also for that, and maybe this we can also further discuss later. Right. I think there are two closing words from Christian as well, and then I would ask the Budapest team to come and tell us also about their work. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. So I have one comment that is related to Dorotas and the social cohesion hub, and it's more like so next year there is elections, right, in Gdańsk. And I have seen over the course of so many years, this is the third project that we share together, Civic Estate, EU Arenas, and then CO4CITIES. And I did meet with the late Mayor Adamovich, and I had the pleasure to to spend time with him and appreciate his vision. And I've seen in the very last years, 1 or 2 years, that under the leadership of Monica, things getting the new deputy mayor, things got a little bit better. But we know that there has been issues inside City Hall in terms of the interdepartmental cooperation and even the fact that the property department did not release the building. So do you think that this pact of collaboration will enable the policy uptake next year, and will in the next elections this will become a hot topic, or could this become a hot topic so that more momentum is built under, more legitimacy is built under beneath in support of this policy, or it's still, you know, off the topic, off the agenda, or the general public debate? Because I think that's, you know, really it's a great achievement, the pact of collaboration, but if there is no policy landscape, that so I think that's something that I was curious to understand if the elections next year could really solve the issue. The second point is related to the Uboshe project. So you talked about self-governing communities, the resident council. It seems to me that it's a lot about the use and the maintenance of the spaces, but your foundation has done so much good work at enabling also economic empowerment, right? So with the orphanage and the hotel. And so I was wondering if in your plans, do you envisage also this kind of work for people also to create jobs and probably leave also this space at some point, because they are enabled to essentially freed from the need to be there. So I think that this is something that would be great to see also embedded in the pilot. I know it's a lot of work, it's additional work, but I think that's you know, what is very distinctive of your foundation, and what, at least it's what I really appreciate the most. The last point is almost everyone. So these buildings are really, you know, in a bad shape, and we have been discussing this. Is it possible that, you know, private investment in your city, considering the thriving city that Gdańsk is for the logistics aspects, but also you mentioned it in the investment plan, the digital, you know, the digital scene, the technological scene is becoming more and more. So could they be, and the real estate development, is it possible to involve the private operators in these projects and take responsibility for this? And because, you know, it's an economic hub, Gdańsk, and it's strange that they don't envisage nothing but public investment. And so I think that climate finance and sustainable finance, we'll talk about this in the afternoon, could help leverage or convince private investors to support your work. So
so referring to your comment and question, and maybe also my colleagues, because somehow if you want to add something, how you see it, because, you know, we put elections in the investment plan and like obstacles and
right.
yeah, so meaning that if there's going to be change in management of the city, there probably going to be also changes in what are the priorities, yeah, and there will be a lot of energy put into rearranging the city committees and so on, yeah, changing people, or maybe so it's I find it kind of an obstacle, but still also as an opportunity, meaning that elections are raising many important topics. So the question is, what will be on the top as no, as a quotation or as a leading plan for future presidents? And yeah, that would be my count. And I think it could be an obstacle for us, because what we also find in the process, that so that there could be, you know, you make one decision in 1 week and there could be a change in another one. So it's giving this disadvantage that people are losing the energy and they are not feeling that the process they were participating in is really giving an input, and it may change so easily. Yeah, that's somehow my spontaneous comment about it. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
things a little bit. We are now in the process of revising our strategy Gdańsk 2030. There is a new objective put into this strategy. It's Gdańsk as a common. So this is strategy which will work for the next 8 years at least. But if we are so totally unlucky and the totally different option will come to the power, we don't know what will be the fate of this new strategy revised. That is obviously always a risk. But in the former election, the concept of neighborhood houses and working with local communities in our spirit was put into agenda of every party which was present in the city. So we can have hope that it will still be a hot topic and a priority for those who will be trying to be the new governors of the city.
Thank you. I would like to thank you very much, and it's clearly triggered a lot of interest, which we will be able to discuss further, also over lunch and in the afternoon. So thank you very much to the dance team. So the lunch break is getting closer, and don't turn around to look at the table where the catering is, because now I would like everybody to have full attention and energy to the Budapest team, who will be telling us about your work. So thank you.
Thank you. So by now, you probably know, but I just give you a little introduction of us. There's 5 of us from Budapest and 4 of us from the City Hall. And there's Balázs, who works at the Asset Management Department. And we are very happy for him to be here because it's a whole different department and it has a very important role in this process. And there's 3 of us from the Open Budapest Department, which is a new thing. We have a new city administration for 2.5 years, and it's very open for participation and stuff like that. So there's an Open Budapest Department, and 3 of us work there. Or she specifically works with NGOs, how to involve NGOs in different programs. And there is Daniel, who represents an NGO, which plays a very important in-between role in Budapest between municipalities, local governments, and artists and NGOs who are looking for places. And his NGO is helping the demand and the needs to, NGOs to find empty places or empty places to find people who want to use them. So the Budapest project is a little bit different from the other 2 because we don't really have a specific physical place in our focus, but we have the whole system, our focus, the system of how we can give empty municipal places to NGOs. It sounds very simple, but it's very much not simple. And we are in the beginning of this path as a city hall, but not as the city actually, because we have a lot of good examples, good practices in Budapest. And some of them I've already showed you when we had the online Budapest meeting. So people of Budapest have a lot of experiences on how to use empty spaces. And if you look at the interesting things that happened in Budapest in the last 2 decades, many of them happened in empty former industrial buildings or whatever empty buildings. So people have a sensation of this. Now we should just, as one of actually you said, that we should make the exception the norm, the rule, because we have these places, but they are all exceptions. So like there's an NGO who uses a formal school building, and now it's an incubation house for art and theatrical art and stuff like that. And it's amazing. But this NGO was very persistent on fighting for this building for years. So this is really an exception. It's not the rule. Or, yeah, I could mention other exceptions. So how can we make this a rule? We actually formulated 2 messages that we want to plant into our politicians' head. And the first message is that municipal places should not stand empty because it's a waste of public good. And it's again very simple, but it's not so easy to realize. And what Orsi actually asked from the Cluj team is very important, that our politicians want to be really just. And even if an NGO asks us to give them an empty space, then we ask back, so why should we give it to you? Why not to anybody else? So we should make an open call, and you can then ask for it. But if anybody else asks for it too, then we should see who offers what. So it starts getting very complicated. So, but anyway, this is our first message. No municipally owned places should stand empty. And the other message is that NGOs are really important in the life of the city. They are creating a lot of public good. They are much quicker to respond to challenges, either climate change or social challenges, and they have a way bigger potential for innovation. So we, as a municipality, are really stupid not to use these skills. So we should support NGOs in any ways possible. And the municipality of Budapest used to have a fund for NGOs, but financially we are on the ground right now, so we cannot actually give them money. But we should find other ways or other things to give the NGOs. And obviously place is a very, very important asset. So if we can give places to NGOs, then it's something. So these are the 2 messages. And if you put together, you have the vision. And we should give empty municipal places to NGOs. And it really sounds so easy, but it's really not so easy. And but in terms of concrete physical structures, we are planning a pilot project, which is an underpass. In Budapest, we have many underpasses because in the 70s, car traffic was prioritized and people were put underground to walk. So we have these underpasses and there are little shops and whatever there. But people don't like these underground places, of course. And now we have pedestrian traffic on the surface again. So these are mainly empty and you cannot do anything with it. So our colleagues said that if we can do anything with this, it would be good for everybody. So we plan a pilot project to use some of these little shops in an underpass. And because there are many, it could even be a network later. So maybe it could be an interesting thing. And with the pilot project, we really want to test many different things, many different challenges. And I just mentioned a few of them. Of course, we need to know what the NGOs need. And we don't really see if they are interested in short-term use of places or they really want to have long-term. Are they interested in cooperating, working together? In this pilot project, we plan to form consortia. So we actually want to force NGOs to share the place, share the time, co-create a program, work together somehow. But it's also not good if the municipality forces the NGOs in any direction. So we have to see if it's in their interest or not. Also, a very important question for us, and we actually want to ask this from Torino, that who is the initiator? Because if the municipality initiates the use of an empty building, it's a different story from NGOs initiating something, an activity, or the use of a certain place. So, like, I don't know where you will have the next neighborhood house, but is it usually initiated by the local community or is it initiated by the municipality that we have a certain area of the city and we want to have a neighborhood house here as well? So, but we can talk about later. So yeah, this co-design and sharing the functions of a building, that's one of the challenges. And another challenge, how the city hall should cooperate with NGOs. Because in my mind, cooperation with NGOs is a really nice thing, because we have shared goals. We want to, I mean, we can't even support an NGO if it's not contributing to the goals of the municipality, of course. And if we have a common goal, then why don't we work together somehow? But also many NGOs maybe want the city hall to stay away from them, and they just want to do their own thing. So it's a question how it can be done. Yeah, and finally, how can it be a network, actually? If there are many places where NGOs are working together or not together with the city hall, can it be kind of a network or not? And the concrete objectives or the output we want to have is basically an application system or a tendering system, or rather an online service for NGOs, where they can see the list of empty buildings, they can get to know how they can use them, get to know the rules, and which actually helps them to form applications and to get these places. So it should be an online service in the end. That's what we want. And with the pilot project, we want to test how we can work together with NGOs. I think that's the short version.
So maybe before we, as we have time as a starting thing, could you explain a little bit more the pilot and how you're imagining also the investment plan, what resources would be needed for it, for the stage you're in that you can imagine now?
Most things we are planning are without resources, and they don't need resources, and that's because we are really stupid about financial stuff. I mean, our team, we have no idea about. And you know, the city hall is so complicated, and I've been working there for 2.5 years, and I'm the longest one in this. So all my colleagues are for a shorter time. So we cannot really imagine how financing in a city hall works. So what we plan can be done with our own resources, basically. But of course, on the long run, we should climb this step and get there.
So maybe we can use the opportunity that within the project you do it on the short run as a pilot, and then on the long run maybe you can also strengthen it forward further. And I think that maybe that could be a a good learning also from this project. So we have a bit of time. Are there some questions? First, is there anybody from the Budapest team who would like to add anything? Or are there any comments or questions also coming from the audience? There's different hands. So I think you put your hand up, then Gianni, and then the dance.
Dorota.
I read in your investment plan that you plan to open the call for a group of 3 NGOs.
Yes.
Do you have similar associations in the city? Or I don't know how hard it is to association of NGOs. And I saw that one of the NGO has to lead the association.
Yeah, these are open questions. Okay.
Sorry, just as before, I would collect a couple of questions so that way then you can answer. And I would ask you, could you pass the mic to, I think it was Gianni?
And then Dorota.
And then it was, thanks.
I think that these idea of yours to have an online database screening all the opportunities, listing all the opportunities, detailing, say, opportunity requirements and so on. It's a very good idea. In our case, in Turin, there is something like that regarding, say, ordinary concession of building or parts of building and this kind of thing. And as I said, for ordinary concession to NGOs, association, and so on. What we've what we didn't done yet is a thing that we have to do actually, because it's written in our regulation, but we are running late. Is the same thing about the building or public spaces that could be managed via shared management with the municipality with a pact of collaboration. A list of non-used, underused building open to pacts of collaboration proposal. I mean, at present, I mean, there's a wide openness because in the case of Turin, a given NGOs can make a proposal on every kind of building. But I think that from the side of the municipality, it could be important to have this list, this detailed list with requirements that gives the idea that the municipality has an expectation towards this opportunity to collaborate with NGOs. So I think that this online database and also it is related with the other issue you were saying, which is the issue of transparency, the issue of openness, and the fact that everything can know what's happening, and nobody can say, "Oh, you are doing a favor to someone else," because it's open to everyone. So,
I think.
Dorothy.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, how would you define a success that you achieved so far in the project, and how would you define the short-term or long-term success in future?
Any other comments or questions at the moment?
Okay, I try to answer in the same order. So for the pilot project, it would be short term, like 3 months. And we have already asked NGOs if they are interested, and they said yes. But still, we are thinking that an NGO is obviously doing something. You cannot just say that, okay, stop doing what you're doing and come here and do your thing here for 3 months and then go back to your previous life. So we think that it's more rational that one place should be used by many NGOs, and maybe one of them is doing something in the evening and the other one is doing something in the morning or in the weekend. And also it would be really nice if they could co-create programs together. So that's why we try this consortium format with at least 3 NGOs. And of course, there's always the question of responsibilities. So our colleagues and the law people said that it's better if we have one NGO that is leading the consortium. So is it an answer to your question? But we are open for any solutions, and that's a pilot project, so we see if NGOs like this or not. You didn't really have a question, but I understand your point. and I think if we can just give a list of a few places, it's probably enough to start the process, because I think we cannot really expect the City Hall to give a complete list. I think it's impossible. And there are places where probably are not suitable for use right now, but it can be turned into it. So should it be on the list or not? So there are many questions, but if we have a short list, then we can start the process. And your question was?
I asked you about the success.
Yes. So far, we made interviews with all the good examples in Budapest, all the good practices, to see the details, and that was really interesting. We made like 10 interviews, and another 10 with district local authorities. So yes, and so we got to know a lot, and with the ULG, I think we managed to bring together people who are interested in this, and we had good conversations. So I think that's sort of a success. And actually, this URBEC program wasn't really initiated by our leaders in the City Hall. So we have to go upside down a little bit, but it's also a success that now our politicians are aware of this idea and about what we are doing. And what we expect to be a result is the pilot project, that we really see what NGOs like or not like in this kind of idea.
Just that the long-term success would definitely be for a system to so that an online database is functioning and we have a working system for NGOs to use empty spaces. I think that's the main goal, and that would be the main success.
Yes, and probably just one more thing, that the main success, but it's the same, but it should be made really easy, because it's possible right now for an NGO to ask for a place for 1 month or 2 months, but maybe they have to work for a year on this. And it's obviously nonsense. So it should be very easy to get a place for 1 month or for short-term use.
So Matthias, I have more like a question that is more like a request for clarification and then a suggestion. The first one is in relation to also the touring practice. So just clarify to me, it's so the legal tool you're going to use is a service contract with one single NGO. Is that true? And would it be possible to have at least a multi-stakeholder service contract, so that you have more than one NGO, probably you involve also some associations from the neighborhood where these underpasses are, because this is not so clear in the investment plan. Probably if it's not this the case, because both Levent and I kind of got this impression that it's about, one single service contract with an NGO, and that's not really what the touring practice is about. The other point is related to a sort of benchmarking. So if you run a benchmarking exercise about, I would call them low lines. So urban assets that are underneath whatever streets or buildings, because there's a lot of practice about trying to use, because the vision that you convey in the investment plan is about using these underpasses as commercial spaces. You don't say too much about what kind of commercial spaces. So one suggestion is, again, have a look at what is happening in the world on the use, for instance, of abandoned rail tracks, and the fact that they are creating low lines, like as opposed to high lines, because there are a lot of cities that are investing on creating labs for farming in this, also aquaponic, hydroponics, like innovation kind of stuff. It's a good way to also think about, in a different way, like as opposed to commercial. We recently won an Horizon Europe on this, and I think that could be one way to go for some of the underpasses, at least.
Yeah, thank you. We know that your pact of collaboration is usually signed by many, many parties, and we really like this idea. And I think that's what we actually would like to do. I'm not sure we got there yet, if it should be signed by one NGO. I would be happy if it would be signed by more than one NGOs. So, and that's what you suggest, I think.
Yes, also non-NGOs, like also city inhabitants from the neighborhoods, and why not also private, private commercial entities that are in the neighborhood?
In the first step, we want to make it very easy for politicians to understand. So that's why we thought that we should focus only on NGOs that are signed with us, because then it's clearer and safer for them. And I think it should be a second step to involve whoever else, local community and private people.
All right.
I have 2 closing words, but if you might want to.
I'm done, so I'm satisfied.
Okay, so before we go for lunch, I would just like to share 2 words with you, because it's been very, very inspiring, and there's a few more months to work together. So my actually invitation would be a bit more bold, be bolder, be more blunt, be more, courageous, if I may say. Your slogan is citizens do it better. That's politically very strong, set by city councils. That's politically very, very strong. You're questioning in your project the power relationships in your city. You're saying that you want to develop new democratic models. And I know that for many Eastern European cities, that might be politically, maybe not for your cities, but for your national governments, a bit delicate. And not only in Eastern Europe, believe me, this would be the case also for Italy for sure. But this is what you're experimenting. This is what you're saying. When you're talking about the spaces that you're trying to foster, you're talking about the inhabitants and the local communities gaining more power. Well, try to translate all that you're saying in your investment plan. And the reason why I say it is I think you've been a little bit conservative in your investment plans. I think you did it as business as usual, and it's not representing what you're implementing, what you're testing, and what you're talking about. So I would say try to look again, go back to your investment plan after these 2 days and look at whether the actions and the budget that you have allocated and the sources of the budget are actually responding to everything that you've been talking about in these 2 days. I think that you will look at the investment plan in different light. The reason why I say this is use the opportunity of this project. We know URBAC doesn't pay a lot of money, so that's not why you're doing it. But you are going to develop a piece of paper translated in English and in your own language, which you will be able to go to your city council, to your mayor, to local stakeholders and foundations in your city or at national level, and you will be able to say, we had a European project that was awarded by the EU and was certified and supported by a whole network of cities where we have said that we need to develop a project where we find investment towards, so because we believe that citizens do it better and we want to allocate resources to bring this project further. So my suggestion would be in the next weeks, months, let's also take the time to work in this, and let's make sure that that document is not just something that you're doing in order to fulfill the URBAC requirements. You could even write a shopping list. That's fine for URBAC, you know, it's up to you what you make the most of it. But my invitation would be, try to really be bolder, use it, you have nothing to lose, it's only a document. If it doesn't go further, you haven't lost anything. But you could make use of that document to push your politicians to actually not just go with certified NGOs, but maybe also expand a little bit, because, you know, the EU has certified that this was a brilliant idea. Turin has managed to maybe will be able to also implement different funding also and creating this foundation also because there was the possibility of having a European framework within all the different projects that you're working on. This helps. And the same goes also to my comment also to Cluj and to Dansk. Push it forward. Don't be shy. There's nothing to lose in it. But try to take the time where really you describe all of the things that you've been talking about these days, and you put a budget next to it. And there, try to think that any public or private investment that goes towards it is not, volunteering is important, but that's not the only thing that we rely on. We rely on social economy. You have so many experiences that you have been talking to us about. Try to think about this public funding as a startup fund for social economy in your city, for social innovation, for social inclusion, where you're actually empowering and emancipating the people by using those fantastic spaces that you're working on. These are my 2 cents. And before going to that amazing lunch, which is there waiting for us, I would like to give a big thank you to our tech team that has been fantastic in allowing for to our photo, video camera. I think we all felt celebrities today. So thank you very, very much to all of you. To the catering team that has been taking very good care of us, so thank you too. I'm not sure if they're aware of the fact that we're clapping to them, so I will say it in Italian after. Comunque, giusto per dirvelo che stavamo ringraziando tutta la squadra del tech, tutta la squadra della comunicazione, tutta la squadra del catering, and a big thank you also to the people from the citizen service that have been joined, not the citizen service, but come si chiama? Il servizio civile, okay, whatever, because they've been supporting the city, so thank you. And last but not least, a very big thank you to all of the Turin team, because they have organized a fantastic hospitality for the city and all the case del quartiere that we visited these days. I've probably forgotten somebody fundamental to be thanked, so please feel thanked as well. And I think now we are going for a lunch break and we'll restart at 2. Thank you.